What was different about Colombia? What did you notice when you got there?
Wow, nice question. I just felt like home. Like I had this feeling to, oof, I really need to get to know this country. I did a trip for like 3 weeks. I was like, okay, why do I have to go back to Germany? So I quit my job, I quit everything, and then I started just to travel.
Wow. So those like 3 weeks really convinced you.
Right. I didn't think about that like that, but yeah, right.
When you go back to Germany, do you feel any like reverse culture shock?
Yeah, definitely. And everything feels cold, you know? It's not just the weather, it's the people, nobody's talking. In Colombia, everything is loud.
You like it better in Colombia. That's where you feel like you fit in more now.
Yeah, I think so. I heard you have a girlfriend from Colombia.
Yeah, my wife actually.
Your
we
wife?
got married a few months ago, in September.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh, so you're half Colombian
Thank you,
right
I
now.
appreciate it.
You're half Colombian.
Is that how it works? If you marry a Colombian, you become half Colombian?
I think so.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I think so.
No, I spent a few months in Colombia as well. We
nice.
lived there first when we kind of first started our relationship, when we first started dating. And so Colombia is the place I've spent the most time in other than Canada. And so, yeah, I really enjoy it there. It's a beautiful place. Where are you at in Colombia?
I'm in Cali.
Ah, okay. I never made it to Cali. I went to...
No.
I know. I went to Cartagena, I went to Bogota, I went to Medellin, but never Cali. And my wife has family there even. So maybe next time I'll go there.
No, you have to go there. It's different.
Yeah.
I don't know if you went to Santa Marta.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. It's like kind of Santa Marta, a little bit more quiet, and like bigger. It's like really, it's hard, not that hard, but it's like chaos. It's wide. It's not that organized and like Medellin. It's more calle.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Yeah, that would be cool.
In salsa.
To kind of like take it back to the beginning though, where are you from originally? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Germany, in a small town, in a really, really small village. 250 people living there. So
Whoa.
really, really small. Really.
That is tiny. and where in Germany? What part?
In the south. So I moved to Augsburg when I was like 21 years old. Augsburg is like, it's a city. It's not that big. Like near Munich.
Okay.
So in the south of Germany. So I speak Bavarian German.
Yes, when I hear people from the south speaking German, sometimes I begin to question if I speak German at all because it's so hard to understand. I mean, it is kind of like just a different dialect, isn't it, in the south?
Yeah. It's more like Swiss German and Austrian German.
Right.
So I think all the people from, like not all, but people from the north of Germany, they don't understand nothing from Swiss German and Austrian, and then so it's really hard for them to understand something. For us, it's easy. Like I understand parts of the Swiss German, so it's not that difficult for me. But not everything. But for people from the north, it's really, really hard to understand.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of easier for you guys, right? Because the northern accent in Germany is pretty neutral. There isn't a lot of influence from dialect. It's kind of like Canadian English and like Irish English.
Yeah, right.
Like they can understand us very well, but in my opinion, we're also just easier to understand because it's pretty neutral, right?
Maybe. You're from Canada, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Canadians speak a really, really nice, really clear English. I really like the Canadian accent.
I think it's pretty easy to understand for people that speak English as a second language. It's not too complicated. I did an exchange in Germany actually, and I was only there for a month. It was like a summer course, and I was learning German, but it was in the north, and so
Easy.
That's what I got used to as well. And so maybe if I went to the South, then it would be easier because I could understand them and the people in the North, you know?
Maybe.
So like growing up in Germany, did you like go on any international trips? I mean, being in Europe, it's pretty easy for you guys to do that.
Yeah, I think it's really easy. So, and if you live in the south, it's really easy to go to Italia, to Spain, to France. Yeah, I don't know. I made a exchange with the school in, I don't know, when I was 16, but this was just a week. It was really interesting for me. It was the first time I was like spending 1 week without my family. And then I did I did a trip to Guatemala when like 10 years ago, no, 12 years ago. I don't know. I'm old. So that was the first trip to Latin America. And I really fell in love with the culture, the Latin culture.
And how did you decide on Guatemala?
I don't know. I studied physiotherapy and I wanted to do something abroad, like do something that's not in Germany. And then like a friend of mine and me, we found this project, like this organization who offers this kind of trips. And then we went to Guatemala and we did 1 month of learning Spanish and 2 months of working there and like a physiotherapist with kids. I don't know. It was like a decision. We saw Guatemala. We're like, okay, let's go. Let's do Guatemala. I don't know. I don't know what's there, but okay. Sounds nice.
And that's kind of where your interest for Latin America started.
I think on that trip. I think so, yeah. I think so.
And Spanish. That's when you began learning Spanish as well.
Yeah. So I did this class for 4 weeks and that's it. So I never went to other classes of Spanish. The rest I just learned traveling, talking with the people, watching movies, listening to music.
And have you traveled around quite a bit in Latin America?
After this trip to Guatemala, I went home. I started my career. I worked a lot of time. And then I don't know, I did some trips. I was in Cuba, Barcelona, like Latin America. And then I started to travel 5 years ago, I don't know, like to Colombia, when I fell in love with Colombia. And I did some trips to Peru, where was it? I don't even remember. I guess it was just Peru and Guatemala. But I didn't like travel around Latin America. So it was, I came to Colombia and then I said, okay, I need to go to Colombia.
Mm-hmm. What was different about Colombia? What did you notice when you got there?
Wow, nice question. I don't know. I just felt like home. Like I had this feeling I really need to get to know this country. I really get to know all the culture. I felt a connection with this township. So I don't know. I think it's the music, the people. They're really open-minded. I'm also open-minded. I think I'm not the typical German girl who's just like really, really really cold. I don't know if Germans are cold. I think yeah.
or reserved maybe.
So and that's why I think that's why I connected easily to the Colombians.
Do you feel like you've always been a little bit different than the average German person?
I don't know. I think I always had this feeling to live in a place with a lot of sun, because I'm not a girl. I don't really like the winter in Germany, so I always wanted to live in a country which had a lot of sun, a lot of good weather. But I don't know. I think I was quite normal German girl before.
I mean, I've heard people say that there's a very big difference between Germans who travel and Germans who stay in Germany.
That's
like
right.
If you meet someone abroad, like if you meet a German person, you go like, oh my God, they're so international and carefree and fun-loving. You know, I thought Germans were supposed to be very kind of, you know, reserved and organized and, you know, planning everything.
Organized.
And then I've also heard that when you go to Germany, you know, that you see that more. And so there's a kind of a big difference between the people who stay in the country and the people who leave the country. Do you think that's true?
Yes, definitely. It's true. You know, the people who travel, they're like that. They're open-minded, nice. They want to get to know all the people and new stuff. But yeah, the Germans, and especially like in the south of Germany, they're really, really Germans, really planning everything and like not that open-minded. Like they don't do small talk. They just like it, their world, you know. And it's really different. Really, really.
I mean,
different.
people that travel are always a little bit more open-minded from whatever country, you know. I think that's normal. I think there's just maybe a bigger difference between like the person who stays in Germany and the person who travels versus the Canadian who travels and the Canadian who stays home. You know, I'm sure you can still see it in Canada, but maybe it's not as much of a stark difference, you know?
Yeah, especially the generation of my parents, I guess generation is different. It's like they are the Germans, no? Germans. They didn't have the opportunity to travel a lot. So this generation has the opportunity to travel, like our generation. So they're different.
Yeah. And Germans are known for traveling. You know, people always say that. You go abroad, you go into a hostel, the first group of people you meet are going to be Germans. I traveled in Australia. That was the first like kind of big international trip I went on. I was there for 6 months and I met Germans everywhere, right?
Yeah.
All along the trip, there's Germans everywhere. And
that's what I hear.
It was cool.
Always. That's everywhere.
But it was cool because like I got to learn about Europe, even though I wasn't in Europe, you know, and that's kind of been a theme for me too. Like being a Canadian, it's a very diverse country here. And so I'm able to learn about other countries, even just being here. And so meeting Germans abroad, it's kind of cool because it gives you an opportunity to learn about Germany. And then I ended up going to Germany. So, you know,
that was all the connection.
There's all the connection. Yeah. I guess they convinced me.
You didn't end up with a German girl. That's the difference.
No, I didn't. yeah, that is a big difference. Yeah, when you marry someone, now that becomes like a big part of your life, that culture, right? If they're from a different place. Yeah. So when did you first go to Colombia? When was the very first trip?
In 2020, before the pandemic started. So in February. I was there when everything started. So, and I had my flight back to Germany in March, and it was all okay. So 1 or 2 weeks after my trip, they closed everything. That was the first trip. I did a trip for like 3 weeks, like the normal backpacking trip, you know. I did Bogota, I did the coffee places, I did Medellin, the coast. But when I was there, like, on my way back to Germany, I was like, okay, why do I have to go back to Germany? That was really crazy. And then
3 weeks wasn't long enough.
It was it was long enough. I think, yeah.
It was or it wasn't?
It was. It was long enough to. No, I think long enough to know that I need to go back to Colombia. No, like it. What did you say? It wasn't long enough to get to know the country.
You had a desire to go back.
Yeah, and I decided to go back and decided to go back and see what happened. So I quit my job, I quit everything, and then I started just to travel.
Wow. So those like 3 weeks really convinced you. You were like, I'm in. I'm starting a new life here.
I didn't think about that like that. But yeah, right. That's crazy.
Because that's a pretty big decision to make. Oh, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to move to a different place.
And it wasn't like the idea to move there. It was just, like for me, it was the idea to get to know better this country, you know, like to continue my trip, and then let's see what's happening. That was like my idea. But yeah, I think it was also the decision to leave the country and maybe stay there. That's right. But I think in all this time, I didn't really think about it. Like, I thought, okay, let's travel, let's see what's happening, and then we see what's happening.
So then when did you kind of transition from just being a traveler to being a resident of Colombia?
When I got my job there, I think the decision was, I made this decision earlier. And when I came to Cali, especially in Cali, I felt this, I had this feeling to just coming home, you know. I really knew that I needed to be there for more time. And then I really started like to look for working office. So I'm a physiotherapist, and I didn't want to continue in this job. So I was looking for other things, but it's quite hard to get the visa. I had no opportunity to travel, to work online, you know. So I don't know. I was like in a crisis. I didn't know what to do. Then someone told me, okay, why don't you send your CV to the German school? I'm like, okay, I'm no teacher, so maybe there's something for you. And then I did this. I did it, and like 6 months later, they called me. They said, "Hey, we got a job for you. Maybe it like administration part and culture part. So if you want to go to Cali." I went to Cali. I talked with them, and then like a few weeks later, they said, "Okay, let's do all this visa stuff, and then you can start." So when I started this job here, I really felt like a Colombian.
Sure. You were working. You became a local. Had the visa. So like, did they like sponsor you for the job to give you the visa, or how does it work?
The thing is that you in Colombia they have like a migration visa, and if you want this migration, like this working visa, you need a job. You need a contract for minimum 1 year, and it need to be in a really big place, like a school or something. And then with this contract, you can apply for the visa.
Okay, so you have like the job offer from a big company, and then you can use that for the application process. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so when was that you started working?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. So you've been living in Colombia full time now for 3 years.
Like, yeah, I think 3 years. Plus the time when I was traveling. So I traveled for 1 year to Colombia, and then I started to work 3 years ago in March.
So it's kind of like 3 years of living there straight on, but 4 years of experience really being in Colombia and traveling and going to different places.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time. Do you feel like 4 years into it, do you feel like you've integrated into Colombian culture?
Totally. So I told you, you sent me this thing before we started to meet, and I was okay. Fuck, I really forgot. I didn't prepare myself for this. So okay, I became really Colombian. This is like that's.
You're talking about a form that I sent you that you were gonna fill out before the call, but you just saw it right before, right?
I was like, okay, fuck. So earlier when I was in Germany, a real German girl, I was really prepared for everything, and I did all this stuff. But right now I'm just like, okay, let's see what's happening. But I think in the time when I was traveling through Colombia, I met a lot of Colombians. I started to interact a lot with the Colombians, with the local people. So I started early to not to become a Colombian, but like to get into this culture. And yes, in the hostels, when I was in the hostels, I always like talk more to the Colombian people than to the German people or the Canadian people, or I don't know.
I mean, that is kind of an important piece of it. It's very comfortable just to communicate with people that, you know, speak our language or from our own country. And so sometimes people end up in little bubbles, right? They're in a different country, but they're only hanging out with other Canadians. And so are they really, you know, fully in the other country? You know, kind of, but not really. Yeah, I mean, when you first got there, though, was it kind of difficult? Was there some culture shock for you as a German going to Colombia?
Obviously. I remember when I wanted to meet with someone, and we were on the beach, like, you know, the beach life is like a little bit more chill. So I was more relaxed. So he said, okay, we're gonna meet in 1 hour. And I'm like, okay, like 1 hour, 1.5 hours, it's okay. But then I was like 3 hours later, there was no sign of this person. I was like, okay, what's going on? So, what? And then I called him and he said, no, I was like washing some stuff, some clothes. I was doing this and that. And I was like, okay, I don't know. You know, what are you doing? You know, because we Germans are really punctual. And so if you say you're going to meet someone in at this time or like in 3 hours and in 1 hour, you're going to meet this person in 1 hour. And that was really, really crazy for me, like to see that people don't take everything literally like we do. So
sure, they say one thing, but it might mean something else.
And then I learned with these people, okay, if you say something like next week we're gonna meet this day at this time. In Germany, it's like that. You don't have to confirm. You don't have to ask again. So you just met. And then in Colombia, it's different. In Colombia, okay, you have to call 3 or 4 times before the meeting. So, hey, really, we're going to meet there or not? You need to confirm everything.
I think like generally Colombian culture is just like more flexible across the board. You know, like it's with times, but it's also with like even just hanging out with people. They can just kind of show up at your house. Like, you don't really have to make solid plans, I feel like. Like I remember that being in Colombia, just be like, oh yeah, I guess my cousin's going to come over today or something. Be like, what? Oh, we never talked to them. Like in Canada, you have to kind of plan things ahead of time. And I mean, it's somewhat, you know, like I even plan calls usually with my friends and my family here. Like, hey, are you free tomorrow at 2:00? I want to give you a call. Not always, but a lot of times I do that. With my wife and her family, it's just like, oh, I wonder what my mom's doing. I'll just call her, right? Like, just do it immediately. And so, yeah, it's very flexible and like really chill. And yeah, I like it. But it's different than Canada, but it's probably even more different than Germany if I understand German culture in any way.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I think the young people are more open right now, so it's not that strict, that different. I guess young people are like more chill this time.
Even in Germany, you're saying?
Even in Germany, yeah. I don't think that they still like this straight with all the meetings and stuff. But it's like, I say, the most important thing is that if you can't be on this date or if you can't meet, you cancel. Like you call a person or you text a person saying, okay, hey, I can't come. And that's okay. So people don't get annoying. But here it's like the people don't even do this. So
they're not going to show up. They just don't show up.
Yeah. And then you call and, hey, what's going on? I don't know. Es que lo que pasa es que what's happening is something more important. I don't know.
I mean, like what I noticed with Colombians, when things don't go according to plan, they are like absolute masters at excuses. Like they will never ever say, oh, I just messed up, my bad. There's always like a really long reason. And like, I mean, you said like your example when they call is like, oh, la cosa es que, like, I mean, they that's how everything starts, is like, well, the thing is, you know, this happened and that happened. And then, you know, it was my grandma's birthday and then my cousin got in a motorbike accident and then my house flooded. And yeah, they're so good at that, like weaving a conversation to be like, the thing is, it's not as bad as you think, something. And I mean, I'm sure that sometimes those excuses are valid, but sometimes I was kind of like, just you can just tell me that you can't make it, or this thing, you're not going to do this for me, whatever. It's okay. Just tell me.
But the thing is, the Colombian. Yeah. Sorry.
No. Go on.
I think the thing is that Colombians, they're not used to say no. For them, this to say no, it can be mean. It could be mean because they it's not that nice. They don't. I think they don't want to hear the truth. And that's a big thing because we Germans are really honest. We really, okay, no. Yeah. So direct, so saying it, okay, we're not lying about the things normally. But the Colombians, like, you ask somebody, yeah, I'm gonna go. I think, okay, so I know that, I don't know, it's a boyfriend's birthday. I know that you can come on this day. So why don't you say it? No, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna, maybe. They can't say no.
There's this idea of high context and low context cultures. Someone introduced me to it in this podcast, actually, and he lives in Germany, and his wife is from Brazil, and so that was his kind of reference. And he was talking about how a low context country is a country where people are very direct. You don't need to hear the context to know what somebody means. They'll tell you, like maybe in Germany or in the Netherlands or something like that. And a high context culture means that no matter what the words are, you need to read into it a little bit. Okay, the words are, I'm going to come to your party on Friday. But the context is, I know you work on Fridays. Or I know that you just don't want to say, no to me because you don't want to disappoint me or whatever. And so then you got to think about it a little bit more. There's an extra step. And I definitely see that Colombians are a high context culture.
Definitely.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. But how do you see it? Like, if you married to a Colombian girl, so what do you prefer?
I think that it's it depends where you're coming from, right? What culture you're coming from. And so for me, coming from the Canadian culture, I think we are somewhat in the middle. Like, I don't think we're as direct as Germans, and I don't think we're as evasive as Colombians. And so for me, like, my wife and I do things differently, but I can often see where she's coming from. Mm-hmm. Like, because I also don't like saying no, and so not to the extreme of Colombians, but I think Canadians or North Americans are like that too. Like we'll say, oh, can you come to this thing? We might say, oh, I'll see. I'll let you know. But that means no. It can mean no. And so we do that a little bit. And so sometimes I kind of get it, even though I don't do it as much, Another example that I can think of is like when we were in Colombia, because I was learning Spanish and my Spanish wasn't super good, it was hard for me to have all of these kind of filler words, the niceties, before you ask somebody for something, you have to say, hey, how are you? How was your weekend? How's your family doing? How's your grandma? I didn't really have all the words to do that. And so I would, like, for example, our landlord, I would be texting her and I'd have to show my wife first and be like, this is what I'm going to send to our landlord. Is it nice? And then she would take it and add a paragraph above what I said of like, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 and just to be extra nice. So in that way, I could almost see it from like the more German side of like, can we just talk? Like, do we have to do all of this other stuff? Can I just tell you what I want? Do we have to have this long conversation first? And so, so sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. Like, I get it, and then I don't get it at the same time, if that makes sense. I mean, how do you see it? Are you used to that now? Being there for so long?
I'm used to it. I'm used to it, but in this kind of way that I also like small talk. And I don't know. So I work with Germans, obviously, because it's a German school. And sometimes when Germans want something from me and they need something, they come, hey, can you do this favor? Hey, can you do this? Do you have this? And I'm like, hello, how are you? How's everything going? Okay, so just chill a little bit and then we see what we can do for you. So I see myself like in this Colombian place. And I think I'm Colombian this way. I got used to it. But on the other side, because I need to I do events and stuff, and like if you have to organize an event, sometimes the things have to go fast and stuff. So when I need something, I'm also like, okay, hey, how are you? Okay, I need this because I don't have time. So I get the people, I understand the people, and sometimes I'm like, okay, you're mean to me. Why don't you ask me about, I don't know. But on the other side, sometimes I am still really German. So I'm in
Sure.
between, I guess.
I mean, like, there's pros and cons to every way to live life, right? Every culture has its pros and cons. It's never better, it's never worse. It's just like a different version. And
right.
so with Colombians, if you're in an informal environment and you want to talk to people and build connections and build friendships, the way that they do things works really, really well for that. If you want things to work in a particular way and for things to happen on time, it's going to be harder to do that in Colombia, right? In Germany, I would assume that maybe things get done in a very orderly manner. But if you want it to be flexible and break the rules, maybe it's a little bit harder to do that in Germany, right? So it's kind of like, it depends on the context. I mean, I think there's also an element of like bureaucracy in Colombia where like it takes a really long time to get things done. And I don't know if it's bureaucracy or what it is, but like if I think, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this one thing today. In Canada, I know this will take me half an hour. I always have to like triple it in my head if I'm in Colombia. Like it's going to take way longer. Like you think it's simple, it's not simple. It's never as simple as you think.
It's not going to happen like you.
Yeah.
Like you want.
Yeah. You got to be flexible, I feel like, in Colombia too sometimes.
I think that 2 points. The first point is that, like in Germany, the system works. Normally system works really good. So everybody is used to, and everybody like is planning the things. Like you said, okay, that's gonna take me half an hour. Then I go to the other place. Then I have, But in Colombia, like the thing is that the people have to organize themselves like in another way. I'm gonna call my uncle. I'm gonna call these people. I don't know, because if you go to, I don't know, to the migration, or if you go to, I don't know, to somewhere you need to fix something, it's not gonna happen like that. So the system doesn't work. It works like in another kind of way. But that's the thing. So they have to organize themselves like in a different way. And also I think this week we wanted to, because there was the storm, like they have a lot of water in Cordova, on the coast. It's in Cordova, I don't know. Like in the coast, there are people suffering from water, like for how they said it, like there was
flooding?
a storm, and then we wanted to bring some water, portable water, and some clothes and stuff, and I guess it was like Bank Colombia or some point where we wanna bring the things, and they closed at 5. So we said, okay, let's go there at 4. Someone's gonna pick me up 4:30 and we're gonna go there and it's all fine. So I was ready, but like at 4:30 it started to rain so hard that all the streets were underwater, so there was no way to do it. So and at 5 p.m. I was still at home, so okay, fuck, what are you gonna do? So things don't work out like the way you plan, because there are so many things, and the streets are bad. So the water just stays there, and the weather is bad and everything. So yeah, so you get used to it, to the situations, and then you're just okay.
It doesn't seem to bother Colombians. Like
No.
they seem like they're used to it.
Yeah, and I feel the same. So maybe, I don't know. I live in a sector. I live in a place which is no high class, Colombia high class. So that's why I told you also, like it's a little bit hard to grab, because I have like one window which has no glass. It's like open. It's everything open. And that's, yeah, in other places in Cali or in Colombia, they are really different, the apartments. So sometimes the energy just goes away. You don't have energy, you don't have water and stuff. But what you do?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you have to handle with it. Okay, I don't have water. Okay, let's do it. Let's see what we can do. And if you don't have, you do have a meeting and you don't have energy, okay. Yeah, that's like that. So, okay, chill. But what else could you do?
And like realistically, living like that, where you're a little bit vulnerable to things going wrong, is how most people live. Like
That's
the fact that it's a
it.
culture shock for me and
That's
you
it.
just shows that we're come from, kind of privileged countries. So like I noticed that too. Like I'm in Colombia and like all of the showers that I take are cold because there's no water heater for the shower. And I'm like, what is this? People take cold showers? I didn't know that was a thing. Just, in Canada, you just have two taps. You just turn the hot one on. And because I'm so like insulated in Canada, I just assume that everyone lives that way, and you go to Colombia and you go, oh, no, things aren't like that. And you can't flush paper down the toilet, right? Because it clogs up the pipes. So you have to put it in the garbage. When it rains, the streets flood. Like you're saying, the power goes out, and it's just like those are normal things for Colombians, and they're normal things for most of the world. And so I feel like it's a really good experience for people like us to go there and see like, oh, yes, we have a lot of privilege, way more than I thought.
That's right. You live like in your country, and everything's nice there, and everything's good there. You have all these things, but that's why I think it's so important for young people to travel and to get to know like the reality of the world. Because I don't know how many percent of the people in the world also have like the privilege to have hot water to shower. So I guess it's really, really important.
Yeah, you think it's a small thing, but it's actually a big thing, right?
It's a big thing. Yeah, it's a big thing. And to don't have, sometimes I don't have the money to buy something to eat. That's another thing. I'm really glad. I see people come here, also like from Germany. They come here for the job. And they get the contract when they are in Germany, so they know, okay, I'm in Colombia, I'm gonna be in Colombia, but I'm gonna have everything, So in my case, it wasn't like that. So I was traveling, my money wasn't that much, so I didn't have like, I couldn't go like to places to buy me everything I need for my apartment. I really had to save money like for buying me something, I don't know. And all my friends here in Colombia, like I have friends with money. I'm gonna say like this easy. I have friends with money and friends who just earn the minimum. So I know all the two parts of Colombia, and I think it's really important to also get to know the other part. They like to meet people, to talk with people from who just earn a little bit, because you get, I don't know, you get to know all the problems, the real problems and that they have.
And I mean, to put that in context as well, the minimum salary that you're talking about in Colombia is like what, $500 USD every month?
I think it's less. It's less.
It's not very much.
Let's see it. I think they up like it was 1,400,000.
Okay.
Which is, how much is it?
1,400,000 Colombian pesos.
$380
USD. Wow. So even less. Yeah, 380 US dollars.
And right now
that's probably about $500 Canadian. Maybe that's what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah. And right now it's 2 million. Like they did a big step, so it's like 540 US dollar. But you in the college where I work, it's a private college, and the costs of every month when you have a children there, a child there, it's already 2 millions, 2 million
Okay, that's
pesos.
how much it costs.
That's the
Wow.
cost per month. So when people earn the minimum, which is 1,400,000 for everything, the private schools costs 2 million already. So how live there? But there are a lot of people who earn a lot of money, like 8 million, 10 million, but it's not that much in Europe or in Canada or in the United States.
Yeah, it's like $5,000 or $6,000 or something like that.
That's
maybe less.
You live like a king here.
Yeah. I mean, Colombia is one of the countries that has the greatest wealth inequality, like the biggest gap between the rich and the poor. And you see that, right? Like how one private school could charge the minimum like income per month that like other people have to use to buy food and pay their rent and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is crazy. And yeah, if you talk to Colombians who are more wealthy and maybe, you know, live in kind of more bougie neighborhoods and stuff, they can also be disconnected from what other Colombians go through.
Totally.
They're not immune to that either. There's probably a higher likelihood that they've been exposed to more poverty than like your average Canadian, for example. But yeah, there's a huge gap between the rich people and the poor people in Colombia. And there's way more poor people, you know, way more. Like it's not like a 50-50 split. Like there's much more poverty there than there is wealth, you know, unfortunately. How often do you go back to Germany?
I try to go every 2 years. I already bought my flight for this year. I was in Germany 2 years ago. I would like to go every year, but it's expensive, so I can afford to pay a flight to Germany every year, to be honest. But it's okay. It's okay, like every 2 years, and I'm really looking forward to meet my family this year.
When are you going?
In summer, like in July.
Nice.
In July.
When you go back to Germany, do you feel any like reverse culture shock?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. When I land in Germany, I go to I land on the airport, and everything feels cold, you know. I don't know. It's not just the weather. It's the people. Nobody's talking. Everybody's like it's in the world of stress and work, and I don't know. That's what I feel. That's what I felt the last time. So I came to Germany. I was like, everything is quiet here. What's happening here? Because in Colombia everything is loud and everything is and I'm like, okay, I need to be quiet at the train.
I mean, for example, you were talking about the perfect time to have this call, and you were saying if we don't do it in the mornings on the weekends, it's going to be like super noisy. It's going to be hard to hear.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's really loud here, but it's okay. I don't know. I'm used to it. So I the last time I got a little bit bored in Germany. I don't know if it's because I was in the small country, in the small village, with my parents, and it's nothing happened there. Nothing is happening in there. Or I don't know it was Germany, but I was like bored. I was like, okay, nothing's going on here. That's crazy.
You like it better in Colombia. That's where you feel like you fit in more now.
Yeah, I think so. Although sometimes I think, oh, I know why it's the neighbors putting music, and I was like, okay, I need to, I don't know, edit a video or something, and I was like, okay, can you just start the music playing Sunday morning, 9 a.m.?
But you can't. You can't stop the music on Sunday morning.
I can. So, yeah, because they like still drinking there, you know?
Yeah. Where we lived in Colombia, we lived right across from kind of an apartment complex that had a pool in the back. And they would have parties at the pool, right? Obviously, it's a nice spot for like a birthday or something, some kind of celebration. And so they'd have a little tent there with a DJ booth, and they'd play music super, super loud. And have like 50 people running around, and our house was just right across the street, and so it's like shaking the walls of the house, like the base. And it sucks if you have something that you need to do at that time. But
Okay.
and we had a neighbor who lived just beside us, kind of in a building that was connected to ours, and he was from the U.S. and he hated it.
No.
I mean, talking about culture shock,
Really?
he hated it. And he would like, I think you made a Instagram reel about this actually. But he was like calling the police and stuff and like telling them to turn it down. And but that's kind of my point. Like Colombians don't complain about it. Even if it bothers them, even if they do have something to do, they don't complain about it. But like we Americans, Canadians, Germans, we do complain about it more, I think.
I think they complain, but it depends on I don't know. I think it depends on which neighborhood you live. I think it all the stuff with the like gate communities where you have like safe entrance, and we have like a lot of apartments here in the pool and stuff. That's normally it's more quiet there. But in a neighborhood with a lot of restaurants and like more lower class neighborhoods, there are a lot of things going on, like it's loud, people don't care, like and you can say nothing, and it's like you can say, but it's like okay. But if you like live in a gated community with security people, you can say, okay, hey, can you say to the other person like to to stop the music or something? But I like my people in my company, they also complain about it. Like if somebody turns on music at 1 a.m. on a Thursday, okay, I need to get up at 5 a.m. So, okay, right. Fuck you. It's also happened, and it's the normal world, Everybody has.
Even Colombians have limits. Yeah.
Also, yeah. Yes.
They have limits, but you need to push them a little bit farther, I think,
Maybe.
for them to say something. It's got to be pretty loud.
It gets so loud. It's not like a little bit. It's so loud, That's the difference, I guess.
Talk to me about learning Spanish. When you moved to Colombia, when you got your job there, how good was your Spanish?
It was okay. All the time when I was traveling, I was practicing. So it was okay. It was okay. But I struggled when I started to work because all of the administration stuff. So I had to text emails, to write emails to important people, let's say like this. And then the formal Spanish, it's different. It's really different. You have to be really polite, like really. And I never learned this kind of Spanish. So I was like, hey, ¿cómo vamos? Hey, papi, you. I was like, hey, amigo. And everybody's like, okay. So where do you learn your Spanish? And I was like, okay, I learned it like streets, And that was really a shock. For me, it was hard, but I learned it. Right now, I speak a little bit more formal, I guess. But it was hard. But I really learned a lot working there, because you have to.
I mean, it's useful to have exposure to both the informal and the formal. I mean, my Spanish is only the informal as well. Like I was never sending emails or whatever. And sometimes when I look at emails, like something that my wife is doing, I'll like see how they write in Spanish. And you're right. It is a very different type of Spanish. It's like super formal and like, it's very, very to the, very, I don't know, there's like extra words that I would never think to use, I guess. Is another way of saying that. So it's good that you can do both of those things now.
I try.
Yeah.
But I don't like it. To be honest, I don't like it because we Germans, we like direct. And this thing, I'm really direct. So I'm like, hello, dear, blah, 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 blah. And then, okay, I need to tell you something, blah, blah, blah. Okay, ciao. And the Colombians, I'm like, okay, what do I write? I'm like, okay, I'm German, so they can understand it, but on the other way, okay, I really need to say, hey, how are you? Because of this reason, it's happening that, and it's hard for me. I really don't like writing emails in formal Spanish. I prefer the normal, informal Spanish.
Well, I mean, it's clear that you speak Spanish really well. Lots of your videos are in Spanish. Are all of your videos in Spanish,
I think it's
actually?
all of my videos.
And I mean, even when you're speaking English, your Spanish wants to come in. I can hear it.
It's so crazy. I know.
Throwing in those o sea. Do you mostly speak Spanish on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, the whole day. I guess maybe sometimes a little bit of German, but everything is in Spanish, and so my English got worse. As you can see, as you can hear, I don't speak English. I don't know.
No, you speak it well. I can just hear the Spanish wanting to come out. That's all.
But I'm like thinking about words, and then the Spanish words are coming. So I was like, hey, okay. How do I say that? How do I say that in English?
It does feel sometimes like if you speak more than one foreign language, they have to like share the same part of your brain. Right. It feels like you have a separation of like, okay, my native language is over here. And then on the other side, I got a mix of everything else.
That's exactly what I feel.
Yeah. I mean, it can be kind of exhausting to have to live your life in a completely different language, in a foreign language. Do you still feel the weight of that after 3 or 4 years living in Colombia, or is it normal for you now?
Sometimes it's normal. Sometimes I also already think in Spanish, and I dream in Spanish. So it's everything in Spanish. But obviously, when I talk to my boyfriend and I want to express like some feelings or some like when we have a fight or argument, that's really hard for me. That's hard because I don't know. I really want to say something bad and and I feel like there's a lot of words, maybe words missing because German has a lot of more words than Spanish. So that's hard for me. Sometimes it's hard.
And I don't know about you. Like I know that you speak Spanish much better than I do. But with my Spanish, I've gotten to the place where I can say all of the things that I want to say, and so I've kind of stopped learning new vocabulary. Like instead of learning like a very specific word, I'll just use like a super general word that's understood. Like I'll say poner for everything. Just put. Like I wouldn't say like apply or sprinkle or I'll just say put that, put this, put that. I don't. And so then my Spanish becomes do this, do that. I do this. My Spanish becomes like more kind of basic. Like I'm not very eloquent when I speak Spanish, and I think that there's a temptation once you can communicate to be like, this is good enough now. I don't need all the extra words. But then when you start speaking a language for several years. Like if you're in an argument with your boyfriend, for example, you're like, maybe I want some extra words here. I don't know. Do you feel that way?
Yes, I need to insult him more.
I need to be a little bit more eloquent or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. But I think it's also because German and English have more words in the vocabulary. So there are more words. And in Spanish, it's more basic. They have less words when we have more words to say anything. So like the Spanish word tocar is like to touch somebody, to play an instrument, it's like your turn when you play something. They have a lot of words. In German we would use, or maybe in English too, we would use like 5 or 6 words, and they have 1 word. And also, if you talk about emotions, I think you can't really get to the point where you want to go because they're missing words. Like it's my perception. I feel like this because in German we have more words to express it and describe the things, and in Spanish there are no more words. Maybe I don't know them, but there are less words in general.
I mean, like sometimes I think that's true, especially with nouns. Like you could say like paloma, it means dove, but it also means pigeon. So like in English, there are 2 different words. In German, I'm sure there are 2 different words as well. Like, what is it? Tauben or something?
Taube.
And then like Ciervo, no, not ciervo. Cuervo. Cuervo in Spanish means a raven or a crow. Means both of them, where we have two different words in English. So you can see examples of that. But then when you start getting into like verbs in Spanish, like estar and ser, so then they have two words to be, right? And then all of those have a million other forms that you are using in conjugations that we don't have in English or in German, right? So then you have like estuvo and estaba and era
fuera,
yeah,
sería.
there's like a million forms of that and that we don't have in English and German. So like sometimes it feels like there are more words and sometimes it feels like there are less words depending what you're talking about.
That's right. I agree. Because like I guess in German we like in the middle. Because we also have a lot of different kinds of endings of verbs, conjugations.
Yeah.
But in English, I guess
cases.
in English it's hard because in English it's really basic to talk with the verbs, like the changes of the verbs. They are really really basic.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of changes. In German, it's a little bit more. I don't know. It's different. It's harder, I guess, to learn.
Yeah, I mean, every language has the thing that makes it kind of difficult, right? And in Spanish, it's definitely the verbs. In German, it's definitely those cases you're talking about, right? Die, der, das. And in English, it's probably like maybe it's the pronunciation or maybe it's like writing. Like even as a native speaker, I can't write very well because I don't know how to spell anything. Because in it, like experience, does the I come first or does the E come first? I'm like,
okay, fuck that.
Yeah, I can probably spell better in Spanish than I can in English. So I think that can be a difficult thing in English too. So every language kind of has their thing, but I think generally English is like the simplest, especially grammatically. Like verbs, easy, no grammatical genders, no cases. None of that stuff. No tones. Like so many other languages have complicated things. Yeah.
I guess in Spanish, for me, it's hard. The subjuntivo. I don't know how to say it in English. Like the form you don't say. Yeah. You say, hey, espero que estés bien. I hope you're doing well.
Subjunctive, I think.
I don't know.
Subjunctive, is it? No.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be.
Subjuntivo, I think.
Subjuntivo. So you don't say like we would use. I hope you going well. I don't know how to say it in English. Like you're fine. I hope you are. So we use the are, but they change it. They don't say I hope you are. So they say in another kind of word. They say sí. Espero que estés bien. So you change that. Maybe in other cases when you wish something, that's really hard.
The subjunctive case that we don't have it in English or German, but it's supposed to indicate hopes or desires or wishes or emotions. Like if you say it's good that you're here, then the you are here verb has to change. Or if the I hope you are good, like your example, then the you are has to change. And it's a unique form that's only used for those particular examples. So that is really hard. And I feel like I mess it up a lot in Spanish because it exists in the present tense, but it also exists in the other tenses too, right?
That's right. That's the hardest thing for me.
So I struggle with that one a lot too. But I mean, if you're struggling with the subjunctive tense in Spanish, though, it just shows like that you're super advanced. Because like most people would say that the hardest part of Spanish is the verbs, which I guess subjunctive is a part of that, but it's just one piece of it. And so I feel like you've already moved through that. You're at a different level.
But I don't know if it's just in Cali or in all parts of Colombia that people don't speak very clear. They like clear, but they don't speak really good. So I'm in class, Spanish classes, like to advance up a little bit more, like to maybe do C1 or C2 in Spanish. And my teacher explained me all the rules. Okay, you have to use this kind of word, this form. And when I talk to my friends, they use another form, another. So, and then my teacher says to me, okay, because it's here, the people mix it, they don't say it right. And I'm like, okay, fuck you. And then when I talk to my boyfriend, okay, well, but how is it? How do you say it? And he's, no, this is okay. How do you say it okay? No, I need to know how to say it correctly. And he says, no, I don't know. I don't even know. So I think it's that one. Yeah.
It's like the difference between the classroom Spanish and then the actual Spanish they use.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, when I learned Spanish in university, they always said that the usted form was for people you didn't know or people that were older than you. In my experience in Colombia, people use usted with everybody, other than their romantic partners. Like my wife will use usted with her mom, with her brothers, with her sisters. And that was never something that was taught to me in class. And I think it's a very Colombian thing too. If you go to like other parts of Latin America, I think they use tú more.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think that usted was that important because I'm going, just for people I don't know, forget it. And then I went to Colombia and I was like, I gotta use this all the time, right? And so then I'm like I'll be like with my wife and I'll be with her family and I'll be like, ¿Cómo estás, mi amor? Ay, ¿cómo está? Señora, right? Like I gotta change it like between if I'm talking to her or I'm talking to her mom, I have to use a different verb conjugation, and that was like hard for me to get used to. But yeah, there are some words too that I hear in Colombia and maybe other places in Latin America that they sound so weird when you learn Spanish in a class. Like you know how in Spanish they would say like something is good, something is bad, and then they would say mejor. That means better, right? So you just have like the word bueno, the word malo, and then you have mejor or peor, right? Better and worse. And you go, that makes sense. Okay, they're a completely different word. The word good and the word better don't have anything to do with each other. They're separate words. Great. And then I talk to Colombians and they go, más bien. And I go,
¿Qué?
más bien?
¿Quién dice
What?
No.
And I'm like, have you heard that in Colombia?
No.
I think it means something slightly different, but it's like, it is like another version of better. Más bien que te vayas. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it fully means better. I think it means something.
Yeah, right.
But they use it. And the first time I heard that, I was like, I thought that mejor was better. I didn't think you could just say more good. I didn't think that existed, you know?
But it depends the context.
It always depends, doesn't it? Spanish.
Depends. In German also. It depends.
Sure. Yeah.
That's
that makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
Oh, but right. I like how Colombians like add words, add things. So my boyfriend always says, so something is rare, like kind of rare, no, raro. Raro, la palabra es raro. And he says like, okay, it's rarongo. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? No, it's
Raongo.
Alguien, una persona, some guy, it's like a little bit rarongo. I go, what the fuck is that? I never heard that before, so I'm learning with him because he uses words, crazy words. But that's interesting, and also they do. Está haciendo sol, so like the sun is shining, sol. But they also say está haciendo un solazo. They put this aso.
Yes.
Like to,
or culazo.
Culazo. Un duchazo. I'm gonna have a like nice shower, like a wow shower. Duchazo.
It makes it sound big. And I mean, they also do the opposite too, where they do like the itas, right? Casita, cervecita. It makes it sound cuter. The diminutive, I think that's called. I mean, they have that in German too. I don't think they really use it too much in English, but like...
in English, is it?
I don't think so. But I remember some German words like Hauschen or something like that. Right? Like, that would be like the casita equivalent, wouldn't it? A little house. Yeah. Yeah, it's Spanish is cool. It is a fun language, and I think it's very expressive. You know, you can change things like that, and it really does change the meaning. You know, there's a big difference between una casa and una casita. You know, just has a different vibe to it.
It
always depends on the context. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for this conversation, Sandra. This has been super fun.
That was really nice, really nice. Although my English is, I guess, hard to understand.
No,
But
your English is good. Yeah, don't worry. You did absolutely great. Tell people how they can find you online if they want to check out your videos.
So if you want to see my videos, if you want to laugh a little bit about culture differences, you can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. Sandra Mora, like the song.
Sweet. I'll put it in the description of the video as well, so people can check it out that way. Sweet. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.